Hey everyone, today we have the brand new wave of Ahsoka Black Series figures purchased from CMD Store, featuring Ahsoka Tano, Ezra Bridger with his Season 4 appearance, the HK-87 droid, Sabine Wren, Morgan Elsbeth, and Chopper in the Rebels packaging for some reason. These are numbers 1 through 5 in the wave, which is kind of cool to get these all in the same box. And the mural art is looking very nice. These are, of course, all in the plastic packaging with the window again. Maybe this Chopper re-release was initially planned for plastic-free packaging, which is why he has a slightly different mural on the side than in the original release. Otherwise, I think they would have just re-released the initial box. And then the Ahsoka figure we've seen before, I'm not actually going to open her because I think she looks great in this box. The face printing looks slightly different than the one that I got in the Mandalorian packaging, but that could just be a production variant, but there's no big enough differences to really comment on here. So we'll do these in order of the numbering, so we're going to start with Ezra Bridger with his Season 4 Rebels appearance, also seen in the Ahsoka trailer in the same outfit. Looking at the figure, it looks a lot more like the animated version than the actor who will be playing him. It's kind of a mix of the two of them. I think it's actually quite nice. It's a nice live-action interpretation of the animated character, although this is labeled as an Ahsoka show figure. I'm not recognizing any reuse of any parts, at least not off the top of my head. I wouldn't be surprised if this was a brand new sculpt. And his little shoulder pads are a little bit softer, so hopefully they'll get out of the way when we pose him up. We'll see how that works in a little bit. And then just like kind of what you'd expect in terms of articulation at the neck. And he still maintains the thigh cut instead of having the new hips, even though some of the other figures in this wave do have the new hips without the thigh cut, which I have to say I really do prefer. A nice clean sculpt on the blaster here with a slightly more gunmetal metallic paint job than we're used to seeing. And then the lightsaber has the same thing that we saw in Starkiller, where there's a little bit of a notch cut out of the blade, so the lightsaber can only really go on one way. I apologize, it's a little hard to see in this video. We have the single jointed knees and elbows with about what you would expect from articulation, a little bit past 90 on the elbows, which is always nice to see. Then you can see how the shoulder plate gets out of the way of his arms a little bit. It does warp a little bit, so maybe don't pose him like that for too long or else it may permanently warp, although I haven't really had too much of an issue with that. And fairly simple to get him into a nice two-handed lightsaber wielding pose. I was happy to see how well, he stands all right. Nothing surprising about the stability here. Standing next to the original release of Ezra, you can see that he is much taller. He is supposed to be a few years older, and I'm sure the actor is taller than a 14-year-old boy in Ahsoka, and so we've kind of got this interesting mix right down the middle in terms of height. And then of course Kanan is a much taller character from, at least in my headcanon. But seeing these two figures together is really nice to see after all these years. Next up on the list is Sabine. I know that this is a highly anticipated figure. I think the likeness to the actor is pretty good here, and I'm a big fan of the live action armor and the paint job on there. They definitely went all out with the deco here. From what I understand, Black Series waves have an overall budget, and so when you see a figure with a lot of deco like this, it's not surprising to see other figures in the wave lacking a lot of accessories or paint, which unfortunately we see both of. And here we see Ezra's lightsaber versus Sabine's, which is slightly darker black. These should look identical, but that one's a little different. Just a production thing. And her blasters look really nice with little bits of yellow and blue paint on them. And even though her armor chest plate covers a lot of the shoulders, we do have a little butterfly joint hidden in there, but we'll see how much that actually helps articulation. If we put her in the Macarena pose, she does have a little bit of hindrance from the outfit, but honestly it's not too bad. A nice amount of elbow articulation for her pistols or her lightsaber. And then we have that new cut at the thigh joint where it's a little bit tricky to spin outward. You can go straight up and put her into a split, but then what you can also do is rotate the thigh a little bit and then spin it outward, and then you get that full range of motion coming from the hip. So you do see that little bit there, which on characters like this is kind of obnoxious looking, but it does remove the cut at the thigh, which honestly with a character like this that's wearing solid pants, it's not that much of an issue to have the thigh cut, but on certain characters with armor or something like Darth Malgus, that would have looked really bad to have that thigh cut there splitting the armor. And really pleasant to see that she does have trigger fingers on both hands, so a lot of times dual wielding characters like clones will come and their left hand won't have a trigger finger, which is kind of annoying because a trigger finger can work on a weapon that doesn't have a trigger like a lightsaber, but not vice versa. So I was especially happy to see her with a trigger finger on both hands. It shouldn't be a big deal, but especially since she has a lightsaber, I'm kind of surprised to see that because it's not something that we get very often. And I gotta say, I don't really love these ankles. I was having a little bit of trouble getting them to move the way that I wanted them to. But I do really like the way that she looks when she's holding the lightsaber. lightsaber. Luckily that armor did not get in the way, and this just looks really nice. We do have a little bit of a shine on the face, which I'll probably end up fixing with some Mr. Super Clear. And here is how she looks with the helmet. Definitely not as bad as the TVC and having just that really oversized helmet. Her haircut looks like it does in the show, but it was probably packed in just a little bit in order for the helmet to fit on elegantly without it being so oversized. And then of course we have to compare her to her Rebels appearance. The Rebels figure, those legs are so skinny, the arms are so skinny, she just got these really cartoonish proportions that make for a very difficult to pose action figure. And then of course the figure on the right was structured after the animated character before we ever had a live actor cast in the role. Then I figured we'd add Bo-Katan in here for comparison. This is a custom head painted by Uncle Sam's Cantina and a bit of a paint job on the bow, but you get the idea. So next we have Morgan Elsbeth. This is her appearance from Ahsoka, which is different than her outfit in The Mandalorian just a little bit. And she definitely should have come with some accessories, especially since she has these hands that can grip accessories. I would have liked to see her with some like magic wielding hands, but I guess that may have been a spoiler. Then if we look under the hood here, we see that she's actually got the Asajj Ventress Darkseid Ray legs, but there's totally nothing wrong with that. They work just fine. And this skirt is actually really nice and thin and has 4 different cuts in it, so you can get plenty of articulation in the legs without really having to worry about a traffic cone situation. This is definitely one of the best likenesses that I've ever seen in the Black Series, and I really like the little bit of a gradient in her hair there from dark to light. It was a little tricky to tell, but it feels like there's a little butterfly joint under there, which is pretty standard for the Black Series at this point. Definite issues getting into a Macarena pose here because of the cut of her outfit, but I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue with this figure. It would have been really nice if this had come with the Beskar spear. This is the one from the Ahsoka Mando 3-pack with Grogu. Technically she doesn't wield the spear in this particular outfit, but it is close enough, and this is kind of what we all associate her with as far as weapons go. These are some hands from a Marvel Legends Eternals figure, I believe. I think she absolutely should have come with alternate hands like this so she can do some Night Sister magic poses. Obviously the color and stuff here are wrong, but I just wanted to give you an example. I'll probably end up painting these and using these as her hands. So this Ahsoka is the Black Series Mandalorian release that was custom painted by Frederick from Frederick's Figures. Everyone I mentioned in this video will be linked below, so go check them out. And then here is Sabine from the Ahsoka show. Just to give you an idea of scale here, but I am so impressed with the likeness on Morgan, especially compared to like Sabine. This just looks so much better, and she's not shiny in the face. Now, what is probably one of the most disappointing Black Series figures in a long time, the HK Assassin Droid in the all red look. This is just totally missing so much paint in the face that it looks like an unpainted prototype. The soft goods are okay. They're a little bit of tailoring here to get it to sit over the shoulders like that. Just, you have to mess around with it a little bit. But I mean, how strange does this look without the visor painted black? I've never seen something like this in the Black Series. I wonder if this is a production error. This is a very early release of this figure. You can see there's like some nice deco on the shoulders there with a little bit of red paint. I can't imagine that this was intentional. Like, why would you put that little extra bit of deco on the knees there as well as the shoulders and then not paint the eyes? That's the most important part of the figure. Also, this ankle is really loose. This is one of my favorite sculpts. Like, the first one that I had from Mando was great and I had no trouble posing it. This one definitely has some QC issues. And again, I wonder if this is an early production run, because I did go back and check the show and this droid should absolutely have the visor painted. Also, the red is just like way too fire truck. This is a custom that I made based on the droid that she fights when she's fighting Marek, and you can see that the red is a lot closer to the Mandalorian red, which is how I think the one on the left should have looked, even though I know they're from 2 different scenes, but you just get the idea here. I'll probably do another video where I correct the one on the left and just kind of darken that red, as well as add the missing paint details, and then it'll be a cool figure. This one on the left is the original Mandalorian release. I did do some custom weathering on it, but otherwise the colors are pretty much how it is out of the box. I don't know why that is so red. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on Chopper because he is just a straight re-release. I also don't have the older Chopper to compare him to, so there might be some slight paint variations, just production differences, but from what I can tell, this is the exact same. He's also got his little arms that pop out of his head here, so you can make him swear. Next, we have Zeb from The Mandalorian. So this is actually a custom figure. This was 3D printed with files from Skylu 3D and painted for me by Frederick's Figures. Absolutely stunning paint job, and he actually has some articulation here. It's not ideal because this is resin, is a little bit tricky, but his head actually swivels and you just got just enough at the elbows and the arms. Then I put him on one of my 3D printed hexagon stands that I designed that just keeps him a little bit stable. I don't want to worry about him falling down on the shelf and any of the pieces cracking since he is made of resin. So this is the part where I ask you to like and subscribe if you are new to the channel, or if you enjoyed this video, a like goes a long way. Ding that notification bell if you want to know as soon as my reviews go live. Here's a little bit of my Black Series Ahsoka dream shelf. I obviously took some liberties here. We've got the Hera from Rebels with a Jyn Erso vest, some of the HK droids from Mando that I painted up, as well as that custom Zeb. But hey, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.